Yeah, it's confusing.
Yes, it was.
Okay. If I can get everybody's attention, we're going to go ahead and get started with the September 17th, 2019 meeting of the Central New York Regional Emergency Medical Services Council. First off, welcome everybody. Sorry about the room change. It was kind of a last minute thing that we all had to cram in here, but I guess it's kind of good that we're relatively lightly attended tonight so we can all be up close and personal here and get our business done. So again, my apologies for that, but it seems to be working out okay. I will entertain a motion for the review and approval of the May 21st, 2019 meeting minutes. I assume everybody's had the opportunity to see those.
Motion.
Second.
Penny? Daryl? Lyle? A second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Reading of the New York State Department of Health Bureau of EMS enforcement actions for violations of public health law, Article 30. We have two. First one is a Priscilla Bazemore, suspended for 1 year, effective 5/31/19. The suspension is stayed, placed on probation for 3 years, effective at same date. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, of which $1,000 is stayed, for violations of 10 NYCRR Part 800.16, subsection A, subsection 11. Second is for a Jonah Yoon, suspended for 1 year, effective 5/31/19. Suspension is stayed, placed on probation for 3 years, effective 5/31/19. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000, of which $1,000 is stayed, for a violation of 10 NYCRR Part 800.16, subsection A, subsection 11. Okay, moving on, Secretary's report, Trish Hansen.
I have a, oh, sorry. Thanks, Joe. I have a few proxies. Joe Millman for Tracy Brunner. Lyle Robbins for Renee Fox. Michael Zukowski for Zachary Mentor. David Butler here. Okay. Troy Hogue for Linda Foster.
Linda's here.
Linda's here?
Yes.
I can't see you, Linda, sorry. Never mind this one. Matt Sinkowski for San Giantino. And that's it. That's all I have.
Okay, any legislative report, Cody?
The only one I have is I participated on a conference call last week. CMS is proposing, this is just a proposal, to update the PCS form for those companies that do interfacility transports. They're talking about adding signatures to make it easier for companies, so they allege. And the change would be the signatures would be 3 additional people who have personal knowledge of the condition of the patient. You can look it up in the Federal Register if you want the pages. I can give them to you. The document itself has like 700 pages in it because it involves a whole bunch of other things. And you have until September 27th to make comments. It would be beneficial for us if they make those changes. So that's really all I have right now. That's about it.
Okay, any questions for Trish? Okay, moving on to the Treasurer's report. It can be found in the Blue Book of Section A. Unfortunately, Zach couldn't be with us here tonight. So any questions on the Treasurer's report can be found in the Blue Book. Moving on to committee reports. Executive Committee. The Executive Committee did meet prior to this meeting tonight. We have one item that we'll be bringing to the body under new business. Other than that, nothing to report. Moving on, membership. Penny Shucks.
Penny Shucks with membership. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 applications. 2 for Cuyahoga County, Matt Smokes and David Perkins. 1 for Oswego County, Zach Menard. Onondaga is Paul Cousins, Darrell Mawson, Linda Foster, and Sue Derbyshire. And all those applications are in the blue book and they'll be voted on in the November meeting. We also sent a letter to Tyler Kaminsky because he wasn't attending the meetings. And he sent back a letter and said that he's been in the police academy school, and that's why he hasn't attended, and also that he had sent an email indicating that before he started, and apparently nobody got the email or provided it to us. So he's all set and said he should be coming back. So we said that was okay.
Very good. Any questions for Penny? Okay, moving on. Policy and bylaws. Scott Clark, I know is going to be late. Does anybody from policy and bylaws know if you met tonight or have anything to report?
Sent a note out and said that there was no business for policy.
Very good. No business for policy. Review and comment. Chris Cullen. Training education. Sam Giantino could not be here tonight. Doug Sambrook is here in his place.
Course sponsorship renewals, there were 6, 3 long form, 3 short form. They're going to come forward as a seconded motion later for approval. Course applications, we had a total of 17. 1 CFR refresher, 7 EMT refreshers, 8 EMT originals, and 1 AEMT original. There was also changes in administration at a suite of fire, just to remind you.
We're going to do the second motions of the new business.
If you'd like, or we can do it now.
Yeah, we can do it now.
So course sponsorship renewals, AMR, Oswego County, and Syracuse Fire were all long form renewals. TLC, EMS, and TC3 were short forms. All come forward as a second motion.
Okay, we have a second motion from Training Ed for the
Endorsement of the renewals.
endorsement of the renewals that Doug just read to us. Is there any questions, any discussion for Doug or anybody else? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on, Ways and Means, Paul. It's your way.
It was a great Friday night. The weather was great. The people were great. There were no problems. I think everybody had a good time.
Yes, indeed.
People that went worked hard. People that golfed play hard. There were no complaints.
No injuries.
Okay, great. I know Susie had stated in the executive committee that she'd have some more solid numbers at the next meeting to report out on that. But thank you for everybody that puts the time and effort in to putting on a successful event. Certainly it's much needed for us to be able to keep the doors open. So thank you to those of you that put that effort in and participate in that event. Moving on, Regional Medical Director, Dr. Olson.
Dan Olson. We met last week, and we have 3 seconded motions, or motions that are coming to. Dr. Benjamin Littman, who's the EMS fellow, Service Medical Director application was reviewed and approved. He will be, besides the fellow, he will be the Assistant Medical Director at AMR. Do you want to do these one?
Yeah, because of different
Not a problem.
topics, we
So
should
that's the
probably
first one.
Okay, so we have a second motion coming out of REMAC for Dr. Benjamin Littman, who is the EMS fellow at SUNY Upstate, to be a Service Medical Director, approve his Medical Director application. Comes a second motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Next, we have applications for RSI providers. We have 13 from AMR Syracuse, 2 from the Village of Fairhaven, and 4 from the Oswego County Ambulance. These have been reviewed as far as qualifications and their compliance within the region, as well as a secondary position review at the REMAC, and they were all approved to go as being qualified to undergo the training.
So that comes out as a second motion from the REMAC to approve 14 providers from AMR, 2 from Fairhaven, 4 from Oswego County as RSI providers. Is there any discussion on this? I'll call a question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Me, since I'm on there.
One abstention.
I changed the whole thing. Should have named it.
Right.
Too late, can't go back. That's why the abstentions last.
Against our better judgment, the motion carries.
All right. Love you guys.
We have 4 agencies that are looking for EPCR approval. Brewerton, Lyncourt, Oswego County, and Sandy Creek are changing either from one vendor to another or from paper to electronic, and all of the vendors have been approved and are in compliance with the state, and so it was passed at the REMAC.
Okay, so it comes the second motion from the REMAC for EPCR agency approval for Brewerton, Lyncourt, Oswego, and Sandy Creek. My understanding is they're all transitioning from paper to electronic.
Well, some are going from one electronic vendor to another electronic
I
vendor.
understand. Okay, very good.
I think there's only one that's going from paper to electronic. The rest are switching vendors.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Olson on that? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I have to go to Sandy Creek.
Very good. Motion carries.
Yes, regrettably, I have to bring up a couple things. We had a discussion about a stroke pilot study, survey, etc. And the discussion centered around an educational video. What I gathered from this 20 to 30-minute discussion was that none of the physicians had any idea about the study. Come to find out, the REMAC had approved the study last November. None of us could remember anything about it. I mention it only as a reminder that things get approved and get shuffled off onto a back burner, and if we don't have some kind of a reminder, it seemed like a pretty foolish discussion when I found out after the fact that we've already approved it. So I just mentioned that. The protocol rollout. The last 72 hours have driven me to the brink of extinction almost, trying to make heads or tails out of this. There are, I guess this is mostly an informational item at this point. There are 2 options. One is a short version, one is a long version. I have seen differences in time. The short version anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes, and the long version anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours and 50 minutes. There's a lot of intricacies involved with each one. I can tell you that the initial discussion at a conference call a month ago was that the short version was for the regions that were not using the collaborative protocols, of which there are two, and that region would be required to supplement all of the educational stuff for the collaborative protocols. And the other 16 regions use the long version. The one really, I think, important point is access and accountability. And as I understand it, with the long version, one would create an account and log into the educational portal, which I actually did today. And it wouldn't have taken me the 15 minutes to do that had I realized it does not work on Chrome. You have to use something else. It works fine on Safari. But the first 12 and a half minutes I tried on Chrome, it didn't work. Anyways, when individuals log in on the long version, the state records all of the activity, the CMA, and the date of completion. The short version, all of that is done by the region. And one could probably imagine a logistical nightmare that's going to be. How much of an importance that should play on which one is chosen, I have not figured that out yet. Is that about right, Mike?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I also don't know if this is a unilateral decision that can be made by the regional medical director. My discussion with Ed Ronsky several years ago was that regional medical directors have a certain degree of latitude in making decisions. His example was protocol changes should not probably be made unilaterally by the regional medical director. This rollout completion is tied in with the recertification process, if I'm not mistaken. So that may impose a time restriction for some providers.
Some providers, yes.
So this right now, for me, is up in the air. I'm again mentioning it as an informational item. Dr. Filgar has weighed in. Susie and I have been going back and forth electronically. I went to the DOH website to try and find out if there was a simple thing. And I couldn't find anything. So I mentioned it. We will be working our best to resolve it in a manner that is equitable for everyone. But right now I don't have an answer. Carry on.
Very good. Any questions for Dr. Olson?
Is there a date, timeline when this has to be done, other than before you're recertified?
Originally, it was December 31st. Is that still?
That was the last date I was told.
However, if it is tied in with your recertification and you recertify, your recertification date is prior to December 31st, and you have to complete your stuff 45 days before your certification date, that could make it a whole lot sooner.
So for those of us with December 31st certification dates, we need to do this right now so we can get our packets in on time and done.
Yes, I will tell you that when Susie and I discussed it after our respective conference calls, our opinion was that the long version going through the DOH was in the long run going to be the most plausible way of doing that. There has been a bump in that discussion in the road. And so in trying to, again, come up with an equitable timely solution, we're trying to work through it.
I just want to know what I need to do in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I'm sorry?
I just want to know what I need to do in the next few weeks to get my pack. I am done, but if I have to do this, I'll just do it. If I don't, I won't. I just need to know what I need to do.
Either way, I don't believe it's a horrible thing.
No.
It's mostly watching videos in 15-minute segments that you can stop and start at your leisure.
I just want to know what I need to do. That's all.
I
Is
understand
this
that.
worth a discussion now?
No.
Well,
No,
yes, sure, why not?
it doesn't seem, if the state is gonna manage it, yeah, if the state is gonna manage it, if the state is gonna keep the records, if the state recertifies you, this seems relatively simple to me. And if time is the issue, certainly for paramedics, 2 hours for a protocol revision is a gift compared to what they used to be. It doesn't seem like this should take this much effort.
You're right.
Right, 2 hours is it's a common CME.
It doesn't happen very often.
No.
Everybody just needs to know what to do.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
And if the region chose to do the short version, any intermediate updates would be on the head of the region. Now, the region also, each region has you can link with the University of Rochester for their videos. But again, it's the region that's going to be tracking everything.
Seems pretty simple to me. I don't think we have the resources in a region to manage any of this.
So can one of you guys make a motion?
I guess it's kind of like,
I think that if this group is comfortable with me making a unilateral decision, then I'll make the decision on behalf of the REMAC. So I don't know if that comes as a seconded well, it clearly can't because there wasn't one. So.
I mean, there's a lot of paramedics in this room. What do you think?
Sounds like long form is the easy.
Can we make the motion?
Yeah.
Well, you can make any motion in the world, whether it matters or not.
Right, but it wouldn't come as a seconded motion. Here's a very simple thing. I second the motion.
Not a motion yet.
You made the motion.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Regional medical director of the use.
Well, that's the.
I'd like to say, hey, all of our providers in the region are gonna use the state,
So,
long state, yeah.
I'm gonna offer that, there's a reason that Dr. Olson is our regional medical director, and that if there is indeed that latitude for Dr. Olson to make that unilateral decision, I think it's incumbent upon him to make that decision for the government and providers in the region. And I don't.
But I think we would support you.
Yeah, a
either
motion
way.
of support.
We can do that, if you want that documented, we certainly can make a motion of support to support our regional medical director to make that decision.
It's my opinion that the long version, managed by the state, is the best option for this region as far as the protocol rollout.
Second.
Supported. Amen.
Are we,
The site is up.
We have been told what to do since
It is up.
my first card. So what's the problem?
it,
It wasn't a card.
It wasn't a card, that's right.
Pat, is this for the paramedic level only, or are we talking all levels?
No, this is the
BLS.
BLS protocol rollout. So this is CFR and up.
So this 2 to 3 hours you're talking, is that paramedic level, or is it for all levels, that amount of time? Seems like there's more protocol changes in the advanced
Only BLS
levels.
protocols, yeah.
Pardon?
It's only BLS protocols, and it is all levels have to take it.
Oh, okay, I thought it was advanced protocols, okay.
Only BLS.
This is where it gets,
Yeah, the ALS hasn't come out yet. I mean, the protocols haven't come out.
I don't think you're gonna see that.
Well, the program's supporting it.
ALS protocols are on.
Yeah, but the program's
This is
supporting it.
for BLS.
Yeah.
We voted to approve.
But the training is only BLS protocols.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
the
right.
training
Okay.
program is not out yet.
Right. So, okay, let me know when that discussion's done, then we'll talk about the ALS protocols. Because I forgot.
Okay, so, again, somebody made a motion that basically is a motion of support for Dr. Olson to make the unilateral decision with the understanding that he's gonna do what's in the best interest of the providers in the Central New York region.
Well, does it have to come, here's my question, does it have to come as a motion for his endorsement?
It absolutely
He's
does not.
recommended it, can we just make a motion to endorse the long form as our BLS renewal, as our BLS update, the long process?
Make the motion.
I make a motion that we endorse the long form update for New York State BLS update as a regional council.
Okay, so we have a motion from Doug, a second from Troy. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call a question. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Very good, thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, ALS protocols. So the ALS protocols are downloadable from the website. I have them right here actually, effective August 1st, 2019. Some of you may be wondering, huh? So, what happened in January at the CMAC, it was voted to approve the collaborative ALS protocols. This generated a little bit of dissent because normally it would go to the region for review, comment, this and that, and then come back to the state. Well, medical standards and the CMAC were of the opinion that ultimately the decision was going to come back to the CMAC. And I think these did go out for review and comment at one point. In any event, they were passed at the CMAC, passed at the REMSCo, and now they have to be passed by the region. So in order to use the protocols that are out there, the region has to say, yes, we're going to use them. So, and we did vote on that in the REMAC. That was not, I missed that on the agenda, I apologize. So, as a seconded motion to approve the ALS collaborative protocols, 2019 version 1.0.
Okay, so that comes as a second motion again from REMAC to approve the 2019 collaborative protocol, ALS protocol. Okay.
So, she said the training program isn't out for that, but yet we're gonna accept them without the training ahead of time?
Well, we always accept the protocols first.
Okay.
You can't do it.
That's what I mean, so it's, you can't use it.
Right. Till you get trained.
To have the training,
I
which,
don't remember.
But they can't make the training
Yeah,
without
this-
the ALS training yet.
this body has to approve the protocols in order for the training to be pushed out and then for the protocols to be instituted. But this is the first step regionally to approve those protocols.
If any of this sounds confusing, believe me.
it is.
It is. So now that we have approved the protocols, the training we're gonna have to work on, and I'd have to go back and look at Mike Daly's emails along with Dr. Fulligar's and find out that this is something that's gonna come out of the learning management system in Rochester, or exactly how we're going to do that. But I will have something I will have to relay to you folks later on. So the first step right now is just to approve these protocols that have already been approved at the CNY.
Okay, fair enough. Any more discussion or questions on the ALS collaborative protocol update? Okay, comes a second motion from REMAC to approve the 2019 collaborative protocol update. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
And by the way, the collaborative ALS protocols are a mere 195 pages long, according to Adobe Acrobat.
Good.
So much for 2 hours, Paul.
We've been fighting for more for ever.
There you go.
You got more to read, so I didn't get
Who's in
one.
charge of the read back now?
Part of the reason that they're now 195 pages as opposed to whatever it was before, it now includes the CFR level as well. So this is everybody. And it's wreaking havoc on the app, but we'll just not even gonna go there. I'm not gonna say anymore. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dr. Austin. Moving on to county reports, Cuba County. Anybody have a report from Cuba?
Cuba County, nothing. Manson-Kowski, he's report, clean.
Okay, nothing from Cuba. Cortland County.
Abdul Cortland County, nothing to report.
Nothing to report from Cortland. Onondaga, that's me. Just a couple of things on the training front. As I've been talking about for the last several months, actually for the last year and a half, we're finally approaching the capstone for the complex coordinated terrorist attack exercise. It's going to be happening down in Oriskany on October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We have a good mix of different disciplines that will be represented at that. We actually have upwards of 80 clinicians, providers, firefighters, police officers that will be participating just from Onondaga County alone, that will be participating in the capstone, the 3-day capstone. So I hope to have a little bit more of a report just to kind of let everybody know what came of all this and whether it was worthwhile or not. I suspect it is. We recently received the agenda and expect it's going to be a very worthy 3 days. Another thing on the training front, if you want to jot this down, we have not opened it up to outside counties yet, but we anticipate being able to do that by the end of this week. However, October 9th at 5 o'clock, we're going to be hosting 2 police commanders from the Aurora, Colorado Police Department. They'll be coming to Store Auditorium to do a lecture, a 4-hour lecture on basically best practices, lessons learned on the active shooter event that happened at the Century 16 movie theater. I had the privilege of hearing both of these gentlemen lecture at the State Emergency Managers Conference back last February, and they did an abbreviated version, a 2-hour version, and I'll tell you, it keeps you on the edge of your seat for just the 2 hours. I can't imagine what the 4 hours is going to be. So certainly anybody in this room is welcome to attend that. Registration is required. If you could just go to our website, onondaga.gov/EM. There is a link to sign up for that event. And that's all I have for Onondaga. Oswego County, Dale.
Good evening, everybody. I am not Renee Fox. I'm Dale Courier. She has allowed me to come in her stead tonight. Good to see some old faces, not old faces, faces I've known for a long time. I'll be brief. Over the summer, we had a significant initiative in the county initiated by our new sheriff to conduct active shooter training within a school environment. It's part of an overall initiative for school safety, putting
school resources officers in, et cetera. EMS and fire were asked to participate, which is something new for our county in the scenario training in a rescue task force type capacity. Throughout the month of July, we put 120 EMS and fire personnel through the training, and it accumulated over 900 hours of training. We also had, as part of this, a group of actors that specialize in EMS emergency type of stuff with some really outstanding knowledge. They really played the parts well. Frankly, they scared the living Jesus out of a few people with the realism, which I thought was rather good. So that will continue. We don't know when or what the schedule, but other areas are looking towards it. So this will move forward. Starting this Thursday, day after tomorrow, County EMO will again host the distance learning paramedic course from Paxton St. Luke's. Last year we had 10 students, 5 of whom successfully completed the class, 4 are finishing up some final items toward completing their state certification. I think Renee said, looks like now we have about 9 that will be doing the distance learning aspect. Our 911 center is in the process of completing, putting in mobile data throughout the EMS system. We have 2 agencies now that have those units in their ambulances. Lets them see call comments from 911, and the ABL aspect now lets 911 dispatch the closest available unit. So this is being continued to build out, and October we're scheduled to go live with the priority dispatch software Pro QA. Lastly, starting in October, Oswego City Fire Department will be sponsoring a PMT class in Pulaski. This is rather unique, as in the past they have pretty much stayed within the city boundaries, but as everybody knows, things are changing in EMS training and education in the North Country. County and the city are working collaboratively to pull this together, see if we can make it work jointly, so that will hopefully help the EMS training needs in the area. So that's all I have. Is there anything I can add or clarify? Thank you.
Thanks, Dale. Tompkins County. No report from Tompkins. Moving on to the Central New York EMS Program Agency, I want to preface this by just saying you probably noticed Susie is not with us tonight. Susie would typically give this report. Unfortunately, she's in Wisconsin taking care of some family matters, but if we can keep Susie and her family in our thoughts while she gets through this, she should be back in a couple weeks. So, education opportunities, the Fall EMS Teaching Day is October 2nd, 2019. An instructor development workshop, October 12th, 2019. A reminder that the Vital Signs Conference is October 24th to the 27th, I believe in Buffalo this year. Regional Online State CME Recertification Program. There are 26 agencies that are approved in our region by the Bureau of EMS for 100% online state CME recertification. And there are 2 additional agencies that are interested in the program as of now. The Narcan agency update, there are 99 agencies currently in the Narcan program. EMS stroke pilot program update. Some of this stuff is under old business, but we're kind of just going to keep it rolling and just keep these things covered now. The Coverdell grant is offering free use of the Central Elite (Image Trend site until June 30th, 2020 for any new agencies. In the Central New York EMS region, there are 10 agencies that are live on this. One agency is in the implementation phase. 2 agencies seeking approval to transition to the site. There are 2 agencies utilizing Zoll that need to transition to NEMSIS 3 by December 31st, 2019. And 2 agencies utilizing ESO that need to transition to NEMSIS 3 by December 31st, 2019. Under new business, we've covered most of this, so this is really just an advisory again. Burden, Lincourt, Oswego, and Sandy Creek, we already covered that and approved that as second motion out of REMAC for them to go EPCR. And everything else we have discussed ad nauseum. And if there's any questions for Susie's report, you'll have to call her in Wisconsin because I don't know the answer. But seriously, if there's, is there any questions, I can try and answer them, but I can't.
I just want to echo what was said about vital signs. It's really, I think Mike knows this, but Ryan Greenberg, the new Bureau Director, is really trying to kind of kick it up a notch, would be the way to say it. You know, it's not that it wasn't good before, but I would really encourage people to go. There's a new critical care track this year. I'm doing a couple lectures. I would skip those, but other people probably are doing a good job lecturing. But some of the speakers this year are really phenomenal, and so I think sometimes we sort of tend to ignore things in our backyard, but I would just really strongly encourage people to at least look at the brochure, and I'm pretty sure you can still register at this point. It's next Saturday and Sunday next month, but it's a really good chance to get more content or just have some really good lectures by some really good lecturers. So I'm not being paid to say this, but I really think you know, it's gotten really pretty premier conference for EMS.
Very good, thank you for that. Okay, RTAC, John Marco.
John Marco, I did attend the last RTAC meeting back in June, but I don't have anything to report on that. And I think there's another one coming up. They changed the date from September 20th, I think, to October 11th. So there might be a possibility I may not be able to attend that, but I'll let you know. Or Susie know. Okay.
Thanks, John. New York State Emergency Medical Services Council report. There has not been a meeting since May of 2019, so there will be no report on that. Is that accurate, Dr.
Wilson? I'm still stuck on the BLS rollout, so.
Okay, New York State Department of Health, Mike Pagozzi.
Dr. Tansky, I'm sure Ryan will be happy with your plug, thank you. One of the other things at Vital Signs this year that'll make Penny happy is that they're scanning people in, so you don't have to fill out the forms and wait forever to get your confirmation certificates, yes. Couple things that are changing. The department is really trying to move to a more electronic friendly system. We're also going to computer-based testing for the exams. Next month we are starting off with the CLI and the CIC courses. We'll be able to test computer-based. That will be, shortly after that, they will no longer have paper-based CLI and CIC exams. We will also start adding the paramedic. First we're going to start with CFR and EMT, and then add critical care and paramedic shortly after that. The plan is to have that rolled out by shortly after the first of the year. All exams will be electronic, available electronic. We'll still have the exams on the third Thursdays. Your students will not be able to test if they want to do electronic. They will have to test after the other students test on paper, but they'll be able to test at any of our PSI centers, which are open 6 days a week from like 9 a.m. to 9 at night. And so that would help for people who don't want to test on a Thursday night.
How does one register for those without a specific date?
Through the website that we have all set up, that you can register for classes and exams, or not classes, exams on it. It's already up and running, so when you do your registration and you send it in, just notify them that you would like to do that through CBT, computer-based testing. That's pretty much what I have, unless anybody has any other questions.
When's the level 3 program? Isn't that supposed to be discontinued?
So the state has implemented a 10-year rollout, so after that 10 years, I don't know what we're really doing after that. I think that's all that they've really posted, and that's in the sunsetting policy on our state website.
There are no more refresher classes. We're stopping all only continuing education.
Right.
For the level 3.
Oh, there's no written exam for the CC.
Right.
Any other questions for the great state of New York? Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay, fortunately for all of us, we already covered all of our old business and new business that I have here on the agenda. However, I do have, does anybody have any additional old business? Great. I have one item under new business. So we discussed it in executive committee tonight. You might all recall back in, it was sometime in the winter, we had adjusted the times a little bit of our meetings to more align with what seemed to kind of be a little bit maybe better for people's schedules and get them home a little bit sooner. Obviously, since the last time we've met, it was actually in process, but now it's been confirmed with our budget that we'll no longer be getting meals at these meetings. So the discussion came up of perhaps even moving our meetings a little bit earlier in the evening day so that people can get home at more of a decent hour to eat with their families, or at least eat at a decent hour because they're not getting fed here. So the executive committee actually, this comes a second motion to change our meeting times. The executive committee would continue to meet at 3 o'clock, committees would meet at 4 o'clock, and the full council would meet at 5 o'clock. Again, that comes a second motion from the regional council, and certainly is open for discussion.
Earlier is better.
Does anybody have any, is everybody aware of the fact that meals are no longer provided?
I think we figured it out when we got here.
I didn't know if that they shared with people or not. I actually missed the May meeting, and we haven't really met as a full council since then, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that. Joe?
Joe Millen from Tompkins County. Just as a thought, I know earlier is better, but some of us are traveling over an hour to get here. So with normal working days, 3 o'clock means we have to leave by 1:32 to get here on time. So that's kind of a hit to some of our working days. My personal thoughts, it's one day every other month. We really can't plan ahead to have your dinner ready or whatever. Just as a thought as you guys are discussing.
But that's the executive committee meeting at 3.
Yeah. No, I know. I was just saying if you're on that committee and you have to be here at 3, that's, or 4, whatever time you're going to be here, it's still.
Any other comments on it?
We did discuss that, and most of the people that are on the executive committee have already committed to being here at 3. So that wouldn't have been a big deal. Most of them would knock off early enough to make it to the meeting.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just, as a thought, I mean, some of the outlying counties we have a hard time getting membership from to begin with, and now if we're telling people, hey, you have to be here at 4, it means you have to leave your work at 2 to make it to your meeting in Syracuse by 4. It's going to make it harder to find membership for that. Just a thought.
Yeah, I think, the bottom line is we kind of realize, like with any group, anybody, you're never going to make 100% happy. And quite frankly, part of it comes from the fact that, the executive committee meets at 3, we're typically wrapped up by 4, then there's nothing going on for an hour and a half until the regional council meeting starts. I mean, certainly all of us are on committees, but, sometimes there's gonna be committee meetings, other times there won't be. So we're really just trying to make it so that we can kind of satisfy everyone.
My question is, what are you gonna do on the night you have the awards dinner?
I think that's to be determined. You know, AMR was gracious enough to sponsor the awards banquet night this last time around. There's no guarantees that that would happen in the future. I think it's something that, you know, it can be adjusted one direction or the
Point
other.
being that a lot of those people who are coming to either receive an award or a family event, they work too.
Absolutely.
Do we need to bundle everything together? Can you move committee meetings off the same block? Perhaps we start looking at virtual committee meetings.
I think that's definitely a possibility. I think right now, the reason they're all in the same block is because people, like Joe said, especially the outliers, are only gonna come up here, you know, every other month for committee meetings. REMSCo pounded out, and they don't come back for another 2 months. So I think that's kind of why that was all structured that way. To my best recollection, that's why it was that way.
Is there something wrong with virtual committee meetings?
That is above my pay grade, and would have to be answered by the executive director.
What was the question?
Is there
Virtual meetings, can we do them?
committee-wise?
Committee meetings.
We've tried conference call committee meetings, we've tried other types of committee meetings, and committees just haven't met any other way. There was, what was it, 5 years ago, more than that, when committees were told you have to meet between meetings, and committees never met. The only time committees meet is the night of the council meeting. You know, it's all good intentions, but committees just don't meet between. Everyone's very busy, and everyone has so much that they have to do that they just don't meet. So that's one of the problems that we've all found. So, and we did discuss the timing. I mean, you know, we did discuss that 4 o'clock can be difficult for some. That's something that we raised, and, you know, it's half an hour earlier. So, and we understand, everybody understands that it's tough for a lot of us.
And, you know, unlike Paul Cousins' EMT card, this is not set to stone. So, there are, this can still change, so it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, we give this a try, see if this works out for a while. If it doesn't, we gotta move things around. You know, it just 3 meetings ago, we changed it to the times that we're doing right now, so it doesn't, so that really the recommendation from the executive committee was to give it a try and see how it worked out. And there's gonna be a vote. We're gonna call a question on it, and, but, you know, again, it's coming as a second motion from executive committee. Does anybody have any further discussion or comments on it?
I like the times that we have right now. I think that we're gonna, like what we did. I know we're only talking a half hour, but sometimes that half hour makes a difference. Especially on my day.
Any other comments? David?
About having the meeting someplace where you could order food if you wanted.
Yeah, I don't see why
A
we
restaurant.
couldn't do that. Yeah, I mean, yes, I don't think there's anything against saying that we necessarily have to meet here. I think there's some logistical concerns about trying to find a venue for it.
Cost of venue.
I think the cost of venue is if all your people are coming and eating, that's.
What conference have you tried to plan?
I don't think it's a conference. This is a meeting.
Right, but I always had.
The question really is not the presence of food, it's who pays for it.
Right.
So as long as the state doesn't pay for it,
Absolutely.
then have at it.
Does anybody really come here to eat?
No.
I mean, that's really the question.
Well,
I mean, are we all put out that we don't get to eat?
Well, notice that Warren Darby's not here tonight.
To answer that question.
Mr. Brewer,
All right. There's always one.
There's always one. Go ahead, Linda.
I didn't hear what Dave Butler said.
Dave's question was, could we have it somewhere where we can order?
Well, you can always brown bag.
Dr. Wilson?
For those of us that have their EMT cards cut to stone, myself included, there was a time when the REMAX started at 3 or 4 in the afternoon and went to 11 at night, back in the day of the 5 counties. So the food was
Back in the day, 11
11 counties. So yeah, if we're meeting for 2 hours, I'm not really sure. But anyways.
Any further comments? I'm actually gonna, because it seems like we're actually gonna have to have a count, we're gonna do it with a raise of hands. So all in favor of changing the time of the meetings, 3 o'clock executive committee, 4 o'clock committees, 5 o'clock regional council, indicate your yes vote by raising your hand. Here we go. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13. All in favor, or all not in favor of changing the times, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 4, 5. For the record, any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries 13 to 5. Starting our November meeting, we'll begin meeting the executive committee at 3, committees at 4, and regional council at 5. Again, keep in mind that this is not set in stone. We're going to give it a try, see how it works out. People can make it. If we start to see attendance drift off, or to Joe's point, if we see membership become an issue as a result of it, it's certainly something that we can address, but we're going to give it a try. Okay. Any other new business?
A couple of members aren't aware that Mike Breidenbaker died last week. If you've ever had the pleasure of working.
Senior.
Mike Senior, right. Sorry. Mike Breidenbaker Senior died last week. A couple members didn't know that. I'm not quite sure how the notification tree should work here. But we should certainly all have a way of knowing that as members. I mean, Mike's been around forever. If you've ever had the pleasure of working with him, you probably cannot repeat any shift you've ever worked with him in public. He tended to push the extreme. But the survivor, Marley Bardoon, you all know his significant other. And it would be nice if we could reach out to her. It's going to be a tough couple of weeks for her, for sure. But now that all the hoopla is gone, people tend to go other ways. So if you know Marley and you have her address and phone number, great. If you don't, I'll be happy to give it to you, or other people can share it. But I think there's a lot in, I mean, we say an awful lot of nice things about people who die after they're dead. We don't do a lot of that like every day, especially in this business. I think it's important to kind of remember what's important.
Thank you for that, Paul. That's a solid point. Thank you.
Can we send Marley's address out? Or do we have to?
I think as Paul said, I mean, there's certain people in the room that know Marley and have known Marley for a long time, or vice versa, know Mike or knew Mike for a long time. And Paul is willing to share that. If people want to reach out to her, they can certainly reach out to Paul to get that information. Otherwise, I don't think we want to send that out.
Probably not as an organization, but I'll be glad to.
Just send it to me, Paul.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. How's that?
That's how I roll.
Hey, anything else for the good of the order? Are you pointing or?
Chris.
So everybody's keeping me on check. Thank you for that. Thank you, Penny. For those that don't know, back in our regional awards, Mr. Cullen, who's a member of our regional council here, was awarded with the ALS Provider of the Year award. From there, those awards are pushed up to the state level, and we have had the privilege of some of our members that have gotten the award of the region have been also awarded the state award. And I'm happy to announce that Mr. Cullen will be receiving the State ALS Provider of the Year Award at Vital Signs. Outstanding job, Chris. Make us proud. Okay, what else did I miss? Okay, Penny? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Sean?
Just one more thing. Kevin Westcott is a new member. He's from Corwin County, just so everybody knows.
Because I don't have Trish's stuff.
Okay.
That's all right.
Motion to adjourn. Penny? Doug?
Anybody going 81 north, it's stopped. What? No. I'm not here.
South, no matter.
My wife is
Say,
gonna
I'm
sit
going
there for
south.
40 minutes.
There's a tractor trailer.
Thank you.
Take a lot more longer.
I'll have yours.
Well, how you doing?
As of last week, I heard that.
I got a pretty call last Thursday.
Hey, Dr. Olson?